What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie, Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about a character who I feel like gets no love whatsoever when it comes to talking about important black characters in the history of Marvel Comics. A character who I freaking loved when I was in middle school and high school and was reading comics. He was just that guy. A guy who I was like, man, this is a character who will be in movies and cartoons one day. And, well, yeah. Anyways, we're going to be talking about the mutant, Synch, one of the most powerful mutants in Marvel Comics. But before we get started, it only takes 2 clicks to become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. Click. Everett Thomas, the mutant known as Synch, first appeared in X-Men number 36 in 1994 and was created by Scott Campbell and Chris Bachalo. Everett Thomas found himself joining Generation X during a Phalanx invasion after they assimilated the X-Men and were trying to assimilate Generation X. Synch's powers linked up with Banshee, who was the closest mutant in the area, and used his powers to defend himself, shattering thousands of windows in his vicinity. This drew the attention of Phalanx assimilated police, and with the help of Banshee, Sabretooth, Jubilee, and Emma Frost, he was able to survive the encounter. When Emma witnessed him sync with Jubilee and use her powers on a level that even Jubilee wasn't aware she could accomplish, his enrollment in the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters was a lock, and he went on to become one of the key players in many Generation X storylines. Synch's mutant ability is that he possesses a bioenergetic aura that duplicates the effect of powers of any superpowered being, not just mutants, in his immediate vicinity, even being able to replicate the actual power itself. There have been cases where he's even been able to show greater mastery and control over powers of those around him, despite that person not having mastery over their power. He was able to replicate fellow Generation Xer Chamber's powers and was able to fly, something Chamber himself was unable to do. He's also able to use his aura to track other mutants, following his own aura trail as it locks onto a mutant's biosignature. A couple of caveats to Synch's abilities is that he has difficulty syncing with purely physical powers and abilities that exceed his normal physical makeup. Also, when a person leaves from within his immediate area, the powers that he's absorbed from them will begin to fade. Now let's jump into some things many people don't know about Synch. Synch was born in St. Louis, Missouri, so there's that. And of course we know he was a member of Generation X. But one of the things people forget about him is that some of Synch's best qualities outside of his powers was his even-tempered mentality and ingenuity when it came to using his abilities and the abilities of others. He was quite the tactician. When Synch uses his powers, a rainbow-colored aura appears around him that is caused by all of the energy he is absorbing due to splitting the ambient light around him. In Amazing Spider-Man number 437, he successfully synced with Spider-Man's powers, proving he could sync with non-mutants. It was theorized that in time, as his powers continued to mature and further mutate, Synch would eventually be able to permanently retain any powers he ever acquired, fundamentally cementing him as a potential Omega-level mutant. This theory was proven right during the House of M story arc, where he was classified as one of the most powerful mutants on Earth because he had mastered his powers. Thanks to Implate, a mutant whose abilities essentially make him a vampire, Synch became his thrall, turning him into a vampire-like minion. This led to Synch becoming a temporary Generation X villain, giving the team fits because not only did their old tactics against his powers not work anymore, but he could now use their abilities against them without restraint or mercy. He ran fades on Generation X day in and day out, and it was one of my favorite, and still is, one of my favorite story arcs in the entirety of Generation X. Synch was once unwittingly involved in a love triangle with Jubilee and Monet while on the Generation X team. This was all due to his close friendship with Jubilee, leading to her having romantic feelings for him that were not reciprocated because, well, he was completely unaware she felt that way about him. Meanwhile, Synch had a major crush on Monet, which was not reciprocated at first, but eventually they did get together, and then broke up, and then kinda got back together, and, well, then this happened. In a plot by Emma Frost's sister, Adrienne Frost, to discredit the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters and eventually blow it up, Synch sacrificed himself to save his fellow human students by using Monet's super strength, which unfortunately, she was just far enough away from him that he couldn't fully sync their abilities. But he had just enough of her strength to throw every human kid in the room with the bomb to safety, ultimately dying in the resulting explosion. He was later resurrected by the transmode virus and enlisted into Selene's army of undead mutants and used to attack Utopia. And though he was resurrected, since the attack, his whereabouts are currently unknown. Synch was one of the many mutants killed in the war against Apocalypse during the timeline of the Age of Apocalypse story arc. His death actually inspired Jubilee to join Gambit's externals. Speaking of Jubilee, in the Days of Future Past timeline, Synch and Jubilee did actually turn out to be lovers. Despite being very dead at the time in the main Marvel continuity, during the House of M story arc as I mentioned earlier, Synch was very much alive and winds up becoming a member of the Junior S.H.I.E.L.D. division known as the Hellions, but was later killed when facing the New Mutants of that timeline. In a very similar fashion to how he died in the main Earth 616 continuity, sacrificing himself to save his own teammates. It's been theorized that he sacrifices himself in every continuity to save his friends and the people around him. Talk about selfless across the multiverse. Now, when it comes to media, well, he didn't really get a whole lot of love. He makes a silent cameo in the Badlands episode of the criminally underwatched Wolverine and the X-Men animated series. And in the movie X2, eagle-eyed viewers can find a dossier on Synch listed when Mystique goes through the files on Deathstrike's computer. Now, when it comes to recommended reading, well, I really don't have much to share. But I will say, if you really want to know more about Synch, I would highly advise reading the 1990s Generation X run. And if you really want to see Synch at his most powerful, check out issues number 14 through 16 of Generation X. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Now, normally when I do these, I talk about actors who I would like to see play these characters on the big or little screen, and the only guy that really came to mind, I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher his name, is Joyvan Wade, who some of you may know as the younger brother in the first Purge. He's also been on Doctor Who, and he, of course, plays Cyborg in the ridiculously amazing DC Universe television series Doom Patrol. He has a pretty wide acting range, and I feel like that's something you want to have for a character like Synch. There's really not a whole lot to it. It's not really rocket science here, but that's how it be sometimes. Anyways, let me know what you think about Generation X's Synch. Sound off in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, Hulk smash that like button. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers and tap that bell so you know when I post up. And if you want to become one of Earth's mightiest patrons as well, swing on over by patreon.com/blerdwithoutfear. And if you chuck in a buck, you can get some exclusive content. And if you don't want to become one of Earth's mightiest patrons, that's fine too. Hey, all I ask is that you like this video and share it with your friends. And who knows, maybe they'll become some of Earth's mightiest subscribers too. Anyways, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and while you're here, go ahead and check out some of these other videos I got floating around here. But until next time, Plus Ultra!